Substantive law and procedural law. Substantive law. Substantive law refers to the legal principles and rules that define the rights, duties, and responsibilities of individuals and organizations. It outlines the criteria and principles that determine what is legal, what is illegal, what is permissible, and what is prohibited. The law covers a wide range of legal issues, from torts to property rights, from contracts to torts. Fundamental law governs human behavior and social interaction. For example, if one party sues another for breach of contract, common law will determine the elements that must be proven to establish the existence of a claim, the breach of contract, the remedies available, and the rights and responsibilities of the parties involved. Essentials of substantive law. The substantive law forms the basis of laws and principles that determine the rights, responsibilities, and nature of relationships of individuals and organizations. It provides the basis for determining whether an action is legal or illegal and determines the consequences of that action. Here are the essential elements of substantive law. A. Rights and obligations. Substantive law defines the rights individuals possess and the obligations they owe to others. It outlines the legal framework that governs interactions within society. B. Specific rules. Substantive law consists of specific legal rules that pertain to different areas of law, such as criminal law, contract law, tort law, property law, and more. C. Legal concepts. It introduces and explains legal concepts that guide behavior, such as ownership, liability, negligence, and due process. D. Enforcement. Substantive law provides the foundation for legal enforcement, enabling individuals to seek remedies or protection for their rights. Examples of substantive law. Criminal law. Essentials, defines criminal offenses and penalties for violating the law. Examples: murder, theft, assault, drug trafficking. For instance, criminal law defines what actions constitute theft and specify the punishment for theft convictions. Contract law. Essentials, establishes rules for forming valid contracts and enforces obligations arising from contracts. Examples: offer and acceptance, consideration, breach of contract. For example, contract law defines the elements necessary for a contract to be legally binding. Tort law. Essentials, sets principles for addressing civil wrongs, including liability for harm caused to others. Examples: negligence, defamation, trespass. For instance, tort law outlines what constitutes negligence and how one can be held liable for it. Property law. Essentials, defines ownership rights and regulations regarding real and personal property. Examples: ownership, easements, and real estate transactions. The law determines the law regarding real estate or property ownership. Constitution law. Essentials, establish the framework of government and the rights of citizens. Examples: freedom of expression, separation rights, due process. The Constitution establishes the rules and standards of the country's government. Procedural law. Procedural law deals with the processes and procedures of bringing, handling, and resolving legal problems to the courts. It sets out the rules and procedures that determine how the law is applied, how evidence is presented, how arguments are made, and how decisions are made. The legal system ensures the fair and orderly conduct of legal proceedings and provides a mechanism for resolving disputes. For example, the law determines how the prosecution will be conducted, what documents must be presented, the timeline for the various stages of the case, how evidence will be presented, and how to appeal if either party is dissatisfied. Essentials of procedural law. Procedural law includes the principles and procedures of justice. The main purpose is to ensure that legal documents are processed fairly, regularly, and in accordance with legal procedures. The main points of the law are: A. Due process. The law ensures that all parties involved in legal proceedings are treated fairly and are given time to present their cases. It prevents crimes or irregularities by providing a standard procedure for legal proceedings. B. Consistency. The procedural rule aims to promote consistency and unity in legislation. This helps ensure that similar cases are treated in the same way, thus increasing the predictability of legal outcomes. C. Fairness. The procedure is to create a level playing field for all parties. It guarantees that the parties have access to relevant information, legal representation, and a reasonable opportunity to express their views. D. Effectiveness. The law, while ensuring justice, also refers to the resolution of disputes. It imposes time limits on various stages of the legislative process to prevent unnecessary delays. E. A public trust. The legal system supports public confidence in the rule of law by establishing transparent processes and procedures. It reassures people that their cases will be handled fairly and according to established procedures. Examples of procedural law. Civil procedure. The legal procedure in legal documents determines the steps and methods involved for initiation, litigation, and arbitration. It contains rules for prosecution, presentation of evidence, and making decisions. For example, rules regarding time limits for filing suit and procedures for serving legal documents are part of civil litigation. Criminal procedure. Legal procedure in a criminal case explains the rights of a person accused of a crime and the entire process from investigation to trial. It ensures that defendants have important rights such as the right to remain silent and the right to legal representation. Rules of evidence. The legal system includes rules regarding the admissibility of evidence in court. It means what kind of evidence can be given, how the evidence should be given, and how objections can be made. For example, the silence privilege is an evidentiary right that prohibits certain types of statements from being used as evidence in court. Procedural law regulates the appeal process of a case. Court decision. It outlines the steps that parties must follow to appeal a lower court's decision and present their case to the appellate court. The appeals process ensures that if both parties believe there was an error during the initial hearing, they have the opportunity to review their case by a higher court. Key difference. Here we can understand the difference between substantive law and procedural law through the following points. 1. Responsibilities and functions. Substantive law. It determines the real rights and responsibilities that people have and the legality of their actions. Procedural law. It regulates the processes and procedures for individuals to exercise their rights, demand compensation, and solve problems. 2. Focus points. Substantive law, focused primarily on defining and maintaining the rights and responsibilities of individuals and organizations. Procedural law, most focus on establishing policies and procedures to ensure fair administration. 3. Jurisdiction and administration. Substantive law contains the main issues of importance of the legal case and affects the outcome of the dispute. Procedural law, there are concerns about the process that guides the legal process and makes it fair, reasonable, and consistent. 4. A nature of law. Substantive law, special laws related to various fields of law, such as torts, contracts, property. Procedural law, general rules covering different laws to ensure the unity and equality of the legal process.